Something I haven't done in a long time is actually play Minecraft Survival. Yes, I've recently played Extreme Hardcore, which you can see on my channel, but I'm talking about traditional survival, where I pick a spot and build up a base of operations. Today, I bring you the first episode of a new series in my new survival single-player world. This series is a little different than my older Let's Plays, where I would document my progress every step of the way. Instead, I will be making update videos or world updates whenever I have something in the world that I wish to show. This is great for me because something that, unless you've recorded a series yourself, a long-running series, it becomes very stressful to have to record every single thing you do, and sometimes you just want to play the game and don't want to record. In this case, it gives me the ability to just play the game and then record when I feel like it and when I want to show you guys something. So, without any further delay, here is the world I will be playing in right here. This world is special in a sense. It's actually a world seed I just decided on after going through about 2 to 3 dozen world seeds. And the reason why it's so important or so special and why I decided on this world was for one main deciding factor, one thing I wanted to build around, and that is right down here. Yep, you guessed right. An end portal. Right here, dead center in where I'm going to be building. And unfortunately, I did not grab a junk block to place there, so I'll just use wood. But yes, and if I wanted to go ahead, and when I went ahead and, to start this single player world, I wanted to build around an end portal. I thought that would be a cool thing. I really want to build something compact, and you'll see what I mean about that. I want to build something into a base of operations, anyways, that is very tightly compacted, and everything is relatively close together. And to show you that, let me go ahead and show you into the world seed here in a mist. The world seed, in case you're having trouble reading it up there in the top left corner, is 865. Very simple. I literally just went ahead and typed in random seeds into a mist until I found this one. Now, when I was looking for a world, I either wanted roof forest or jungle, and I wanted it to have a stronghold in there, where the end portal is, and a nether fortress nearby. And as you can see, I have that right here, and this also has the benefit of having 2 slime chunks relatively close together, so that way I could build a slime farm and such. That's one of the things I am probably going to do very early on. In fact, I've already dug it out at this point. So really beyond into what makes this world's fun and important of there having a nether fortress nearby. Now keep in mind, this does look like a great distance away, but in the nether, literally if we build a portal here, we're put right into the fortress. And here's the best part. There are 2 cross pathways, ideal for building a farm, and the majority of the fortress is inside solid netherrack and a floor to ceiling in the nether. So it is a great place for actually building a farm there and conditioning that area. And not too far away, there is also a guardian farm. So, via nether travel, this is a quick hop, skip, and a jump over. And if I wanted to go ahead and make a guardian farm or something, I could. But yeah, we got an ocean monument there, and that might get used at some point. I don't know if I'll do anything with it, but I really like having the option. Up here, you can see the scaffolding laid out with the cobblestone. You can see a big 32 by 32 block area there, 16 by 16, 32 by 32, and 16 by 16, with these 16 by 16s into marking out slime chunks which have already been dug at this point. But what I want to tackle with this base, and something I have wanted to do for quite some time, is tackle the issue of building upwards within Minecraft. Now, you may be like, what you mean? People build up in the sky, of course. And if you've seen, creative videos building, like, say, modern skyscrapers or whatever, yeah, people do make use of the vertical area in this game. But they don't really make use of it. They basically pick a plane or a general Y level and spread outwards rather than upwards. And the entire idea with this base is that we'll be going upwards, not outwards. But the idea is, rather than have your farms and such all spread out on the same pretty much Y plane and the same general level, you would instead have different levels to a sort of skyscraper that goes into the sky. And as you can see, I have an idea for not just having one, not just having two, but four of them. Two large 32 by 32 ones and two smaller 16 by 16s. The idea behind this is, originally I was thinking of 4 32 by 32s, but then that presented an issue of, that's a lot of area to build up, and could I actually fill that? And it's just like, well, I don't really need that at all. So then I came up with the idea of, well, what if I injected like 16 by 16s? I threw around that idea of having 4 16 by 16s, but I was just like, it's way too small. I want to build like an item sorter in this sort of thing. I'm going to need room for redstone and such. So I really would want something bigger than 16 by 16. So what I settled on was a mixture of the two. Two 16 by 16 ends of towers, along with two 32 by 32 towers. Now, I'm not sure exactly how high I want to go with it. Currently in my mind, I'm thinking at least 128 blocks, maybe 196, something like that. I doubt until I'd go past Y200 or much past it, really. But, yeah, that is the idea here. Now, what about the challenges? One thing is, I did look it up online. Like, has anyone, like, in survival Minecraft literally built upwards rather than outwards? And I couldn't really find anything. And there is a good reason for it. And that reason is, how do you get from the ground level of a structure up to the very top, or at least some floor in between that you want to get to? So that is really one of the big challenges. When you build outward, it's not really that big of an issue. You just, run and jump your way on over, you're there. That's it. But when building upward, you got a whole new problem. Sure, you can use staircases, but realistically, a staircase is for a building that goes like literally 100 plus blocks up into the sky isn't really ideal. So at that point, it becomes a case of, well, how do you go up? And, well, here in my test world, this is what we're in. We're in my creative test world right now. This is an old contraption. I built a ender pearl elevator, and if we swing around over here, it's actually pretty simple. That tripwire hook and with the string and powers this redstone dust, which powers this block, which powers this powered rail. And I'm surprised this still works, because I guess it's technically a bug. It's probably technically it's probably would fall under the classification of a bud and to activate the piston. But basically, when the powered rail gets power, and the piston actually extends. So I'm actually, like I said, I'm actually surprised that this still works, because I built this way long ago, probably around end of 1.5, maybe, yeah, probably around Minecraft 1.5. So, you know, and for reference, if you're watching this from the past, the current version is 1.12 as of today, as of recording this here. So, yeah, you got the problem going upwards. Well, ender pearls, you know, could use that to make an ender pearl elevator. As you can see here, this seems fairly reliable. In a multiplayer environment, this is not super reliable, but in a single player environment, you know, we could be doing this all day and it shouldn't really, you know, fail on us unless, you know, we mess up our aim like that. But wait, there's more. Yes, there's more ways to gain height in Minecraft quickly. Ender pearl elevators are probably going to be the fastest. I actually haven't timed them. I really should in comparison to this. Of course, they require a supply of ender pearls, but, you know, that ain't going to be a problem for long in my current world. So, what I got right here is a basic slime block elevator. It basically works by you holding W. You hold forward and it activates the screen, into which, you know, activates the tripwire, which into powers some stuff. If we can go ahead and go over here. Yeah, powers the redstone dust, powers the repeater, which is set to the 4-tick delay, and then that launches us upwards. So if I could continue here, and yeah, and then at that point, like, I could be like, oh, this is the floor I want to be at, and I could stop right there. The problem with this kind of design, as you can see, is it's not straight up vertical. Now, there's probably designs with pistons that go vertical, but they're very dependent on the player's position, and at the same time, how do you get it to stop at the exact level you want to be at? So, I don't know how I feel about this, because this isn't something I can build against a wall and just forget about, because as it goes up, it's literally going to be cutting across the interior of an internal building. So, yeah, there is another option, that is minecart, obviously. Now, believe it or not, this minecart rail ends up to the top here actually takes about the same amount of time as this does, end up going from all the way down there all the way to up here. Now, the thing with minecarts is they have there are unique minecarts in the sense of minecarts with hoppers, chests, and furnaces. What I would really be interested in is minecarts with chests for, well, let me go to another part of my creative world here and show you. This over here is something that I built actually quite some time ago in my test world here. You'll have to forgive the frame rate. This is right next to the item sorter testing plot, which is very, very laggy because I have all these item frames up and such. I should probably remove them at some point. But anyways, this system was an idea of transporting items over great distances, rather, you know, not using like ice or whatever, but using minecart chests and directing where I want them to go. So as you can see, I got a diamond block there, an emerald block there, and I'll grab one of each here. And basically, let's go ahead and grab a copy of this minecart. If I place one right there, it ain't gonna run off on me. Okay. So you can see the rail right now. It's set so if the minecart goes through, it's gonna go through to the diamond. So let's go ahead and put an emerald in there and put it through. As you can see, it actually switches the tracks. What it does is these hoppers are basically filters and that, you know, when a minecart chest passes over that has the item in it and that the filter is looking for, then it will change the rail to that direction. If it's already in that direction, then it will stay in that direction. So right now it's set on the diamond path. If I put another block in, it will remain on the diamond path. And this system is pretty cool, and I never got to implement it in anything. Honestly, I think I came up with it back in like the URMC 1.5 days, or maybe even sooner, like the Minecraft server LP series on my original server back then. Okay, so I'm going to stop myself right there because I was going off on this thing and I wasn't talking about how I'd like to integrate it with the base. And that is, well, we're going to have rails that will probably go upwards. And I was thinking, in the 16 by 16 towers, those aren't going to be much good for really anything except for, transportation upwards. Redstone, item elevators. They're pretty much going to be the utility towers. So I asked myself the question, what if I could implement this on a large scale? And not only, say, do it with items here, but what if we go ahead and do that? Blank. Oops, did not want to send that thing off. But what if we could, I'm not going to be able to do this example here. One moment. Okay, so now I got it set up. You can see it's set to go on the diamond path. I actually don't know if this will work out well for me because I don't have all powered rails here, but let's see. Yep, we go on through, it switches the rail, we go to our destination. Now this could be chained many times. We could have many different items. We could have, say we have, a diamond block, well, not a little diamond block, but some sort of key item that says we're going to turn off at this junction in a certain way, then we're going to turn off at another one with that wool, and then we're going to turn off at another one with the other wool, and then we're going to turn out another one with that slime block. Now, obviously, I'd probably use something different, just cobblestone or dirt blocks. It wouldn't have to be anything fancy. But using these sorts of things, I could literally, at the beginning of my trip, have something that theoretically puts items into a minecart chest, and then I hop in the minecart, it sets them both on its way, and, well, obviously, it'll direct me on my path. So, I'm at, say, the bottom of the base, and I'm just like, I want to get to a certain floor at a certain tower, and if I just press a button, it prepares my minecart for me. I hop in it. About 20-30 seconds later, I would arrive at my destination, exactly where I wanted to be. So that's pretty darn cool. I don't know how exactly I could work out the redstone to make it compact enough to be actually practical, but I know I want at least some sort of rail system in the base because I foresee myself wanting to get aminals and villagers inside the towers, and the only way I'm going to be able to do that is with rails, and I'd like to have a permanent rail system rather than having to route temporary rails whenever I want to bring entities up the towers. So theoretically, rail travel could be a good way to move throughout the base. I mean, heck, it could extend even beyond the towers and to things around them, possibly. But yeah, the problem is that the more junctions you have, the more T-junctions you have here, the more turnoffs, the more complicated it gets. The more, I'll call them key items, and that are needed in order to direct the carts. The more key items that are needed, the more buttons that would be needed if I wanted a one push button to go to location thing. So that kind of limits this. It means you can't really have it go to every floor. If you do that, it would probably take up the room in every floor. Every 32 by 32 floor would be all taken up by this system. So if it was to come to, I'd imagine that this system would actually work in a way where you have your, let's say, first floor here, your second and your third, and your second floor would be where the minecart system would drop you off at and pick you up at, and pretty much that'd serve the floors below and above, and pretty much so on and so forth. So that's an idea, but I don't really know how practical it is. I'm gonna have to work on the redstone and see if I can come up with some sort of expandable solution to this. And in all honesty, at some point, beyond into transporting, going around the towers, you'd have to have I feel like there'd have to be some sort of hub where this network drops you off and you get on another one, if that was an idea there, possibly. Okay, so there's some problems with building upward. That's why you don't really see people build upward in the sense of their entire base is sacked. People will build up in the sky, yes, but once they're up in the sky at their particular Y level, they generally just tend to spread outwards rather than vertically. And like I said, that's something I really want to do with this. Here we are in a copy of my single player world on one of my multiplayer test servers that I run locally, pretty much just so that way I can have world edit. I know there's a single player mod, or at least there was a long time ago, I don't know if it's still around, probably, where you could get world edit in single player, but honestly, the server version I always preferred better, and I'm more familiar with servers having run one in the past. So in here is pretty much where I'm testing designs for these skyscrapers, basically. These survival skyscrapers. They're not going to be modern, really, and I don't really want to do like a sort of modern looking skyscraper. I believe that would clash, but something I'd like to say unique, maybe. But what I got here are test platforms for the base level of these buildings. Now the thing I haven't figured out is what will it look like beyond the base platform. I'm still working that out. I like what I got with the base platform. You know, maybe a little lacking in color. You know, that's kind of one of my weaknesses when building. I'm not a good user of colors and like varieties of blocks, but where I excel at, I've found, is with architecture. And if you look back at, say, my older series, like my Minecraft server Let's Play, where I was building that shop with Sumito D. But yeah, so we collaborated on building basically a shop for myself, and of a shop where I could sell items. I forget if he sold any items through there or not, but I'll put up footage on screen of it and such that you can see. And you can see that it uses color, and it has like architecture and color going for it. And it's just like, the color aspect was Sam. It was all him. He's a color guy. He knew how to use those blocks, and together, and our two styles kind of came together to make something amazing there. And I am still to this day very proud of that structure. Like, I think that is one of the best things I have ever partaken in building, really. So back to this. Nothing's changed overnight, or over the last several years since then. I'm still more of an architectural guy. I'm still more of a curves and shapes, not a colors and variety of blocks. But I really do want to try and see if I can make colors work with this structure. Because I feel like if I can bring, you know, the architectural and color aspect together, it would look pretty good. Now I gotta admit, this alone, you know, you put in the mossy and cracked stone bricks, which we got an abundant supply of, in with this, you know, just like I got over here. And I think this will really, really look pretty good as a base. But using all stone bricks for the entire tower, I think the color gray at that point will be very, very overused and very, very played out. And at that point, the look of the entire base will only be dependent on basically the shape, you know, and not really the colors. And I really want to do something with the colors. So, building upward. Okay, we got, you know, the issues of building upward. You know, transportation upward. Okay, check. And I could probably come up with something. The slime block and the sort of hold down W to go upward and get off at your leisure works. Okay. The minecart idea may work. It's going to take a lot of redstone and a lot of work to try and make some sort of system where, or to basically make the stations and for that system and make it reliable in such a case. And then you got a problem of multiple users using it. This is a single player world, so technically I'm the only person that has to worry about it, but I have been, you know, playing with my sister. She plays Minecraft as well, so I open up to land and we play together on this world and work together on it and such. So there is kind of the issue of, you know, the system possibly taking on multiple users at once, because that could be a problem. Two people running into each other, then the minecarts get sent off in which direction. So it'd have to have some kind of safeguard to basically catch runaway minecarts. I think you get the idea of what I want my single player world to become. The challenges I want to overtake with it. The thing that I haven't really seen much done. I've searched online for like people who have built, you know, like skyscrapers in survival, and the most I could find is maybe a 5 to 6 story tall building. Maybe. Not really anything that touches the sky, and is also a functional and connected with redstone, basically, you know, base that has farms connected to it and automation and such. And that's what I want to do here. Rather than build on just one plane and expand outwards. Or on two, where I have a ground layer and an upper layer, like on my original, on my original base on the URMC server on the first map. That's what we're looking at here today, right now. I actually made a Let's Play series of it. You can go check it out. Rather than do that, rather than just have 1 or 2 layers, having layer upon layer upon layer, dozens of layers, or at least a dozen of layers, all going up into sky, each one having something important, some sort of farm, some sort of thing. Maybe it's just aesthetics, maybe it's just something beautiful. But yeah, something connected with redstone, something where items are flowing through from farms, getting sorted into the base's storage. Minecart systems that take you where you want exactly by a push of a button. All you gotta do is hop on. This is the vision I have, and I hope I can at least make some of it a reality. I don't know about the minecart idea or the slime block elevator. I would probably go for the Ender Pearl elevator, in all honesty. That's the most compact thing. And of course there's traditional stairs and ladders and such, which I probably will have as well, but those won't be the preferred mode of travel for obvious reasons. I mean, have you ever tried taking a ladder from sea level all the way up to like 150? And the blocks in the side, you know, or Y150 I should say. Yeah, it's a real slow process. So yeah, guys, that ends this first update episode. And yeah, I am doing this in an update fashion, rather than I show you everything every single step of the way. Just simply because it's a lot less stress to record. I can just play the game casually, and when I feel like I have something to show, I can, well, actually show it. But yeah, I have rambled on for long enough now. Until next time, whenever that might be, see ya.